So it goes like this: deposit 20 with a bookmaker, place a few value bets, win some money and get your stakes restricted, and then receive a warning email like this one here. Sure, they haven't closed your account entirely, but it's a stealth ban on winning. I first made a video exposing this over 6 years ago, but now it's not just professionals that are being affected. I can't complain too much though, because I'm deep into 6 figures profit between all of the accounts that I've had banned. But seeing bookies don't want my money, I thought I'd share why and how in detail with you guys here on YouTube. Because why not? These slippery scumbags don't play fair, so why should it be kept out of sight? You see, professional sports bettors' biggest problem is getting a bet on. Once you rip through a few hundred sportsbook accounts, it becomes a game of managing VPNs, SIM cards and betting accounts acquired elsewhere. Now, you might be thinking this is some sort of scam or get rich quick scheme, but it's definitely not. I'm not selling anything. This video is free on YouTube and it's not sponsored. In fact, who would even sponsor it? The bookies certainly wouldn't. So if you get some value, show your appreciation for the like button down below. Thank you. Now, there's one simple principle to this strategy that makes it so consistent, and it's not luck. I've placed tens of thousands of bets over the last decade, and the reason it works is simple. Maths. That's it. To grow a positive balance from sports betting, you must be placing wagers at a positive expected value. It doesn't matter where you are in the world or who you bet with either. Professionals only place value bets. If there's no value, there's no play, period. But before we unravel the numbers, we need to acknowledge some of the different thinking that is required here. Successful betting isn't this opinion-based, impulsive, irrational or addictive pastime. Unfortunately, 95% of players probably fall into at least one of those brackets, but you have to stop following mainstream thinking. To consistently beat the sports books and stack the odds in our favour, we must think different to everyone else. So think purely about pricing and maths, as I explain with this strategy. But first, let's explain how sports betting companies actually make their profit, because there isn't a subscription fee or upfront cost to using their services. The easiest way to explain this is with a coin flip, because there are only 2 sides. The implied chance of either side landing is 50%, making its true odds 2.0 in decimal, evens in fractions, or plus 100 in American odds. However, a sportsbook would price the coin flip at something like 1.8, 4 to 5 in fractions, or 125, depending on your preferred odds format. So for every winning pound or dollar that you bet, the return is 1.8. So let's assume there are 2 players betting on this coin flip. Player A bets tails and player B bets heads. Both are offered the same odds. If the coin lands on tails, then player A wins 180 and player B loses their stake. So player A has made 80 pence or cents from the bet and player B loses their money. But the bookie pockets the remaining 20. Now, it should be obvious, but it doesn't matter if the coin lands on heads or tails, because the bookie makes a profit either way. They've hedged their position. If the coin lands on heads, it's exactly the same, just in reverse. This is why bookies rarely lose, and you hear sayings like, the house always wins. It's true, the odds are underpriced, containing a hefty margin if you want to play. Sportsbooks don't offer fair prices and represent bad value. If we're to play sportsbook odds all the time, you're guaranteed to lose. Over the long term, mathematics ensure the house edge wins. So how do you calculate the true odds and what they should be? Because this is the only way you can identify a valuable opportunity. No, this has got nothing to do with opinion or predicting the future, just cold, hard numbers and maths. So let's do some. Implied chance dictates true odds. So if we take our coin flip example, both sides of the coin have an equal chance. Thus the implied chance is 50%. To calculate true odds, we simply divide 1 by the percentage as a decimal. In this case, 0.5. So the decimal odds for a coin flip is 2.0, equal to evens in fractions or plus 100 in American odds. So if the betting odds of a coin flip are over 2.0, then we can see and measure how much value we're getting. Similarly, if they're under 2.0, we know just how much the sportsbook is ripping us off. Thinking back to the previous example, odds of 1.8 would make payout something like 55% chance, meaning you're getting shortchanged by 5%. You can calculate relative implied chance by dividing 1 by the decimal odds. Now, we've hit a very important crossroads here. Once you've identified it, there are multiple ways to play the value. However, the underlying principle is the same. Value is the very thing that creates long-term profit. I'll explain two different paths before breaking down the numbers further. First, you can value bet at enhanced odds. Individual bets will lose, although over the long term you will win more than you lose. There's a video of me doing this on this channel showing you how to do it. We'll leave it in the end screen. The problem with value betting is variance in results can be high. There may be sequences of losing runs that leave us feeling uncomfortable. Just like the coin flip, we could end up flipping heads 10 times in a row, purely by chance. Which is why measuring how much we're beating the true odds is important when it comes to value betting. Staking higher when we're getting a high value margin is advisable. The second path is far more comfortable, has lower variance in results and eliminates short-term risks. Its downside being it's less profitable in comparison to value betting, over the long term anyway. Now, this is not financial advice, I'm just explaining how these things work, so if you're inclined to try either path, always calculate the potential outcomes long before you start and be responsible. The second path I mentioned requires us to sell bets liability back to the marketplace, known as arbitrage betting. I'll show you where and when shortly, but when the odds are in our favour, arbitrage removes the risk by hedging the position across all outcomes. To illustrate, if we go back to that coin flip example, and the odds offered for flipping heads or tails with 5 to 4 in fractional odds equal to 2.25 in decimals or plus 125 in American odds, this means that for every pound or dollar staked, the player wins 25. It's the complete inverse of bookmaker pricing. Now, this makes for a clean example, but it could also be that heads are priced at 6 to 4 and tails are at evens. It doesn't really matter because we can balance the overall position just by changing the betting stakes, just like you see on screen now. But the key point here is knowing how much value there is, because it really gives us confidence in what we're doing, especially when it comes to increasing stakes. I mean, if you're certain that you've identified a 10% arbitrage bet, then it becomes a question of how much you can get on. But there's a problem. Bookies are scumbags, but they aren't stupid scumbags. They don't price betting odds where all outcomes gives away free cash. We all know the probability of a coin toss is 50%, so it's a simplistic example, but it gets more interesting when you introduce multiple bookies and betting exchanges on sports where true odds isn't so easily defined. Sometimes different platforms offer different prices for the same event. For example, Bet365 might think there's a 47% chance of Man City beating Liverpool, making their odds 2.1, whereas Betfair Sportsbook might have it priced at 55% chance, meaning they're 1.73. So, for example's sake, the odds between the two providers could look like this. Both of them are running an over-round book because the total odds amount to 105% on Bet365, the 5% being Bet365's margin, and 104% on Betfair Sportsbook, the 4% being Betfair Sportsbook's margin. However, if we select the best odds from the different sportsbooks, we can flip the odds in our favour. This would be a clear arbitrage opportunity, with these odds totaling 96%, that 4% difference being the arbitrage margin. Now, the calculations to hedge profit across multiple outcomes can be a little bit overwhelming, so it's probably best just to use an arbitrage calculator. There's heaps of them for free online if you just have a quick Google. Now, that's all well and good, but a more efficient way of arbitrage betting is with the use of betting exchanges, depending on which country you're in anyway. It's likely American sports bettors watching this will have to wait a little bit longer because Sport Trade doesn't launch online until later this year. Exchange arbs are always better because betting exchanges have a tighter overround figure. For example, here in the UK, Betfair's exchange overround is usually at 101%, instead of that 105% margin that you'll have seen with Bet365 in the example. And by the way, 105% is pretty low for a sportsbook. They do go as high as 125% on occasion. Plus, it's far easier to spot an arbitrage opportunity between a bookmaker and betting exchange, as you only need to spot a bigger back price on the sportsbook than on the exchange. Now, you might be thinking, this is too good to be true, but it's really not. Sports betting has been online for 20 years, but there are situations that still crop up every single day. There's simply too many sporting events going on to price them accurately, plus there are hundreds of online sportsbooks to sign up with in the first place. And who knows, maybe even your friends and family will want to sign up for them too. The biggest downside is, of course, these slippery sports books won't let you do this forever. Once they realise you're taking value, they'll restrict your betting account. The only way around this is with more betting accounts and super efficient bet placement. You see, the thing is, knowing how to beat the bookies is helpful, but that alone won't make you money. You need to know where and when value prices will emerge if you really want to become a long-term winner. So in this video here, I show you exactly where that occurs, so don't ignore it if you're serious about beating the bookies over and over again. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and tap the like button down below. I'll see you next time.